Alright guys, welcome back to the channel and to the garden. Today we're just going to have a quick look at some of the different varieties of bananas that I grow in my UK tropical garden, as well as care tips for each. We'll briefly go into some of the overwintering care as well on these. So why would you choose the banana plant in your garden? I certainly find it adds a very kind of tropical jungle vibe. As you can see here, the big ones you can see at the back, this is your Musa Baschu, or cold hardy banana. Now, these do originate from sort of southern China and grow wild in the Sichuan region. Now, with these here, these are probably one of the hardiest bananas that we can grow in the UK, guys. Now, with this banana, it will generally be ground hardy down to around about -15, even possibly even lower than that, which means if you don't do any sort of care or protection on these, typically in a colder winter that we get here in the UK, the stems and everything will die back down to the ground and then come up in the spring from the ground again each year as a sort of perennial. Now, one thing that many people do, and certainly I try to do with these particular bananas, is to kind of save the height of the pseudostem or trunk, which we'll take a look at in a minute. And that just means that the following year it gives it a head start and starts a lot higher up. Now, the ones you are looking at here, guys, these are about a 3-year-old clump now. Now, they actually started at the same size as this little Musa Baschu we've got here. It was that sort of size about 3 years ago, and as you can see, in just 3 years, it's gone well over the fence. So the fence is a 6-foot fence, so you're probably looking at nearly 10 to 12 foot now on these. Now, just coming in, taking a look at the pseudostem or trunk, you can actually see down here there's quite a big clump now. And now what typically happens with these guys is you'll have the kind of mother plant or main plant. Now, these do flower and produce bananas, but it is not an edible form of banana, really. They're very small and, full of seeds, so it's not something you would be growing for bananas itself, really. Now, these are cold hardy down to USDA Zone 6A, so probably one of the hardiest ones you can really grow, in the cooler climates such as the UK. Now, when these do flower, it generally takes sort of up to anywhere from 4 to 5 years for the clump to get large enough to flower. Once it does flower, the plant that has put out the flower will die off, and it will then pop around the base. So that means we'll have little babies coming up from the base there. Now, with these, you can see there is quite a few large trunks underneath there already. So we're hoping that we do get down to possibly seeing a banana flower and maybe even fruit at some point. Right, so let's move on, take a look at one of the other bananas that we do grow here. Now, this one is not cold hardy at all. So this is your red Obsidian Banana. Now, with this particular one here, you can see really pretty leaf coloring on this. You really grow this for the foliage. Now, as this is not ground hardy at all, we do typically dry store it. So I'll dig it up in the winter, cut off all the leaves, flip it upside down for about a week and let it drain as much water as possible, and then I will put it into a dark cupboard with sort of just in a pot, no soil or nothing like that, and then bring it out at the start of the year, sort of March, May time, April, May time sort of, and start then feeding it again. And then once we're past all the kind of worry of any sort of frosts, that will go back in the ground and start growing again. Now, this one is a second year plant, so we did dry store this here. And you can see already, again, we're at about fence height on that here. Now, I do have a smaller version of this, so it'll show you what they do look like when you buy them small or kind of first year. Now, you can see we've got a little one here. This is another, it's the onset morelli, so same as the red Obsidian Banana, the names for it here. Now, you can see base-wise, it is still quite small. This one's only about 1.5 feet tall, 2 foot at the moment. So at the moment, I'm hoping it gets a little bit bigger base so we can dry store it. If it was at this size, guys, and you had it, and coming closer to winter, you probably would need to dig it up and grow it on as a house plant, because the size of the trunk really needs to be, I'd say, somewhere in the order of a good fist size or much bigger to really dry store. So one thing to bear in mind when you are thinking of overwintering your bananas. Now, as I say, talking about overwintering for the Musa Bastu again here, guys. Now, what I will typically do with this one is to trim off all the leaves after the first hard frost. So wait as long as I can possibly on this one. I'll then basically build a cage around it and stuff that cage with straw around as much of the height of the stems as I can save, and then I will put something waterproof like a builder's bag or something over the top of that, and that will remain like that for the winter until again we're coming out to that slightly warmer period again, you know, in the spring. So with those here, now you do have the option, some people don't decide to protect these at all and just let it come back from the ground every year. Again, that's an option you can do if you don't have the time to do the winter protection. It is down to you. The winter protection merely is just going to give you a bit more height to start the year, as mentioned there. Now, with these here, these can get up to around about, I mean, I've seen them in the UK up to sort of 20, 25 feet, so very, very tall. So say this one's about 12 foot at the moment, so it's got a little bit of time to go on that one. Now, one of the other hardy bananas that we do grow, or is almost as hardy as the Musa Bastu, this is going to be your Musa sycamensis, or Bengal tiger. You can see here on the leaves, guys, got nice striations, sort of striping, and underneath, we just pan under here, it's got quite a nice kind of lovely red side as well. Now this should be similar to the Musa Bastu, so we'll build a cage around this at the end of the year and stuff it with straw and then look to protect it that way to try and save the height of the stem. And these also should be ground hardy down to about -12, somewhere around there. So again, another one that's great if you're looking to add something slightly different than the common Musa Bastu. Now we'll take a look at a couple of the other ones we do grow here, guys. Now, when buying these, I've actually been able to source these all from my local B&M. The first one 3 years ago. The rest of these are kind of new purchases this year. So down in front of us here, guys, is your Musella lasiocarpa, or golden lotus banana. Now this one, a very unique flower when it does come up. It is supposedly ground hardy, so we're going to give this one a go this year. And it's supposed to be one of the hardier ones here. But certainly if you haven't, have a look online at the pictures of these flowering. Again, very unique banana on that side. Take a little walk down the jungle path here, guys, and we come across another onset morelli. Now, again, bought this year, you can see still very, very small trunk on that. You know, it at the moment would need to be overgrown as a house plant here. Another variety we do have here is the Musa acumata grandnaine, otherwise known as the Chiquita banana. Now this is one of the first ones we're talking about, guys, that actually does produce edible bananas. But with this one here, the slight downfall of these is it is not ground hardy at all, so it would need to go into a sort of heated greenhouse or indoors for the winter on that side there. Moving over again, guys, now this one here is our Musa Siam Ruby. This is probably one of the least hardy that we do grow here. They're very temperamental plants, so again it would need to come in over the winter into essentially a warm garage house, something with a lot of light, and growing on as a house plant on that one, guys. So as we pan back around here, guys, we'll just take another last look this way. So with bananas, certainly something to consider when you want to add that kind of tropical vibe, tropical flair. Great growing plants. Now, care-wise, they all really enjoy a lot of moisture, heavy feeding as well. So that could be things like your chicken manure pellets, your liquid seaweed, these types of things, and you can actually do that pretty much every week when it's in peak growing season with these, and they will certainly love it and grow a lot quicker. Now, one tip here, guys, when growing your bananas, what I've discovered from researching a lot with what the US growers do, who are more on the kind of normal cultivation, is to increase the production. They've mentioned basically to take off all but the bottom sort of 4 leaves, with the top one coming out here, and this does kind of spur the plant to really go into high production there. So one good tip on that, guys, is you know, if you do want to kind of tree them up a bit, have it more of a canopy, certainly some people really like the look of that, but also it can aid the plant to essentially kind of grow a bit quicker on that side. One last one, guys, just take a quick look at here. This one is not one we've had very much luck with at all, and you can see it's absolutely tiny. This is a Musa Cavendish. Again, this does produce edible bananas, but again, just like the Musa Acumata Grand Nain, that will need to be in a heated greenhouse or grown on as a house plant on that side here. So following on from that, guys, of course, thank you for joining us on this video today. If there's any more care tips and things you would like in regard to growing bananas, certainly drop a comment below. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, as mentioned, certainly feel free to do so. And we hope to catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.